Good morning, everyone, and very welcome again. We're kicking off this morning with the old Cork Waterworks, a beautiful renovated Victorian building and home to Lifetime Labs, one of Cork's top 10 attractions. And Mervyn Horgan is here with us today to tell us all about it. Mervyn, I'll hand it over to you there.
Okay, I'm just going to share the screen. And go. Okay, can we see that?
Yes, perfectly.
Yeah, you can see it. Okay,
yes,
okay, lovely. Okay, so again, thanks to the team for Pure Cork for having me this morning, and I must compliment the team as well. These sessions are well worthwhile. It's always amazing what you don't know about your own your locality or your location. So well done. So without further ado, we'll drive on. So we're Old Cork Waterworks experience. A brief synopsis of our story. We were the Cork City Waterworks, basically responsible for pumping water from the River Lee to reservoirs, and which eventually fed the city. And I suppose our story revolves around how the growth of the city were also linked to the growth of the waterworks. We, after an extensive renovation, the site opened as Lifetime Lab in 2005, very much with a sustainability and education team. And then we rebranded to Old Cork Waterworks Experience in 2018, simply because we were getting an awful lot of visitors interested in the architecture and the industrial heritage of the site. We're proud to say we are Ireland's only Victorian waterworks, and we're also in Cork, which is an added bonus, and the site is owned and operated by Cork City Council. This is the view that most people would be familiar with, travelling down the Carrigrane Strait or looking over from the Kingsley Hotel or County Hall. It's an image that featured heavily over the last fortnight with the heavy rain, with all the news reporting about the threat of flooding in the area as well. So you would have seen it in the background. What's deceptive about this image is that the site is very extensive. And if we go here to an aerial photograph, we can see that there's a lot more to the site than meets the eye just from the perspective of the road or across the river. This is one of our buildings. This is the main building that visitors will arrive into. It's quite substantial, as you can see. I'm actually down here at the moment with the blue dot. We have a lovely courtyard, our industrial heritage, our steam centre building. This is our classroom. We have an outdoor playground as well, and a little bit of a green space, and it's all nestled in an open courtyard. And when the sun is shining, it is a beautiful view overlooking the weir, especially maybe in autumn when you see the salmon jumping above the weir. It is a very nice view. On the inside, we have in the first building, the visitor centre building, we have two permanent exhibition spaces. They're big open spaces, very high ceilings. So it's perfect basically for an indoor venue. We have a little coffee dock offering, so we can serve takeaway coffee, or you can sit down and have a cup of coffee. And we also have our audiovisual room where we show our presentation. So again, we can tailor it for adults visiting, or we can we have clipboards and activities for the kids as well to become environmental detectives or history detectives around the site. So it's always nice when you see the children wanting to do something with the visitor centre. Our second building across the courtyard is a throwback to the age of steam. And what we've the equipment that's left there since 1904. And it is substantial, and it's the only place in Ireland where the original equipment is still in situ. So we have a boiler house here at the top photograph, and this is downstairs then in our engine house. And I love this photograph here on the right because it really highlights the scale and the of the equipment that was put in its heyday. As I said, we're nestled in a courtyard, and this is just a view from autumn last year. You can see the leaves and the trees are just going a bit brown, and I've my eye on there trying to see if there are any salmon jumping. It's tranquil, it's very, very peaceful, and again, a view of our outdoor playground and garden. So for families especially, there is a little bit of a treat for the children that they can burn off their own brand of steam in the playground, the garden, while the adults that are with them can have a cup of coffee maybe and sit down and relax. This all comes together then as part of a visitor experience, and we've worked with the team at Ireland's Ancient East to develop a visitor experience over the last number of years. And it comes together like this. So we needed to soften it a little bit because we are stone buildings and steel and iron machinery. So again, we softened it a little bit. We evolved some of the characters on site. So you'll meet different characters on your journey around the site. We can do self-guided or guided tours, and we have the audio guides and the audio visual in 5 different languages. Putting all this together is the team. And I'd just like to highlight the importance of the team, especially over the last 12 months, where conversations and things like finger posting to other venues are very important. We like to try and have as many conversations as we can with our visitors, find out where they're from, what they're up to, maybe what they would like, point them to a nice restaurant or another attraction within Ireland's ancient East. So we have a good knowledge of different attractions and activities built up on site. Also, they've responded very well. It hasn't been easy for anyone over the last 12 months, so anything that was asked, we kind of jumped at, whether it be retraining or extra cleaning, or like there's an example here of the COVID charter, which we adopted fairly fast when we reopened last year. Lifetime Lab would be well known for its education programs, primarily our primary STEM workshop. We would have school groups coming from all over Cork County visiting this particular program, from Ahali's all the way to Youghal. It's a very, very popular program. We also have an outreach proposition where we will visit schools and deliver workshops within the school environment. And we attend numerous festivals and events. So for argument's sake, we would have attended Galway Science Festival in November. We participated in the St. Patrick's Day Big Day Out in Dublin every year over the last number of years with our science engagement team. Our methodology would be just putting stuff into children's hands, letting them in the controlled environment, let them off, because anytime you put something into a child's hand, their learning experience changes. Over the last number of months, we've been developing a series of short videos on social media and our website called Science with Una. And this is just to reach out and engage with I suppose, our audience, and offer simple, maybe at-home science activities that people can do with literally raiding the kitchen cupboard using those materials. And that's proved very popular, and we've got very good traction from it. And we'll move on. The site itself then is a venue on multiple levels, from simple like meeting rooms or conference rooms. We host a lot of summer camps. We run our own summer camps, and then we can hire out the venue to a third party to run their summer camps. Numerous corporate events. We have all the facilities of a modern building, bathrooms, power, water. We've had corporate barbecues, we've had family fun days. The site lends itself to a large event, and we've also been used as a performance space. So everything from like Culture Night to Cork Waterworks had a performance here in 2019. And again, we found when I like to use the word pivot too much, but we found that there was a demand for maybe a controlled meeting space. And we adopted that in August and September. We found we were just about getting a bit of traction with it. What we can offer is a standalone building. So we can walk up to a building, turn the key, hand the key over to the client, and no one else needs to engage in that room. And we can service with the catering requirements then from the coffee shop side. We also run a number of events and activities, from open days, from Heritage Week, Culture Night. The big picture here is our big event in April. We engage with the local community and have an Easter egg hunt with the local Lions Club. We can have anything from 1,000 to 3,000 people show up over the course of a day for a good event. And again, it's fantastic to see the site in full flow. It is, as I say, bricks and stone and cast iron. So it's people would bring a site like this to life. You'd be surprised how many people the site can accommodate when they're spread over the different buildings and the different levels of the site. With all this in mind, we have, as I mentioned, we have a strong education remit. We did a lot of work with corporate clients, built up a bit of knowledge there, and through running our own events and activities. In 2019, we ran our first Cork Carnival of Science, which we took over Fitzgerald's Park for 2 days. And when we started the process on this, it was amazing when we wrote down the actual context and the people that we built up and knew over a number of years. So the pictures speak for themselves. We had 2 days in Fitzgerald's Park. Again, we engaged actively. Cork City Council were fantastic. They handed over the park to us for a few days. From a tourism point of view, we brought 200 bed nights to the city. and we hope to return to those days fairly soon as well. So the site has it's multifaceted. There's different levels, and we hope that you get a little bit of a taste for that. Our contact details are there. What we'd love from today and from all these presentations, if anyone would like to get in touch with us, we'd be interested in partnering or bundling, or like we could be a stop-off venue maybe for a cycling tour. Maybe we could work with the local accommodation to provide science camps or science clubs activities for their guests if they're staying in Cork for a few days over the summer months. Hopefully we'll be able to do that. So again, I'd just like to thank Seamus and the team in Pure Cork for giving me the time, and I'll hand back now.
So thank you very much, Robert. Did we ask any questions at this point? What we might get you to do, Mervyn, is you might introduce Jessica next, if you don't mind.
Sorry, am I stopped sharing?
Yeah, you stopped sharing. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. You might introduce Jessica.
So yeah, so next up. Yeah, so I'd just like to introduce Jessica Cull. She's based at Elizabeth Fort, which would be another Cork City Council attraction. And Jessica, over to you, please.
I'd say you're on mute, Jess. We can't hear you, Jess.
Sorry, thanks, Seamus.
That's okay. You're perfect.
So thanks, Mervyn, and big thank you to the Pure Cork team as well for having me today. Can you see my screen and hear me okay?
Yeah, you're loud and clear and you're perfect visually.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So thanks, everyone. My name is Jess, and I'm going to be talking about Elizabeth Fort today. So I'll talk a bit about what the site is and what we do there. So it's under ownership of Cork City Council. And it's a 17th century star-shaped fort, and it's over 400 years old. So it's a really old historic site. So this is just an aerial shot of it. I'll try, if you can see my cursor here with the blue dot, I'll try and outline it for you. So it literally is star-shaped. So if you see on the left here, if you imagine this is the top of the star, the section here, and we go around to each corner is known as a bastion. And interesting enough, so it was built to defend Cork City primarily, but it's quite interesting. Most of the cannons would have actually been placed on this left side here, where you see the cursor to the north side. And that would have meant most of the cannons were pointing into Cork City. So that kind of tells us, yes, it was built to defend Cork City in case of attack, but it was also built to kind of keep an eye on the locals, I think, as well. I guess that's why we're known as the rebels. They had to keep an eye on them. And just to give an idea of where we are, so we're situated in Cork City on Barrack Street. So you can just see us down here. And we're really quite lucky because we have so many fantastic sites close by. So we have St. Finbarr's Cathedral, who are our neighbours. We have St. Finbarr's Cathedral, and we have amazing views of them. I never get sick of the views of the cathedral. We're also just about a 9-10 minute walk from Nanonagle, and about a 15-minute walk into Crawford. So we're really lucky that we're in walking distance of so many fantastic sites. And when people arrive to the site, we love having a chat with them and asking maybe they've come from another interesting site. For example, if they came from the jail, we'll ask how they got on there. And likewise, when we have visitors leaving Elizabeth Fort, we like to kind of have a chat with them and try and, suggest where they could visit next and let them know what's close by, where they can go, what might interest them. So people always seem to appreciate that. So this is just to give an idea of what we have in the fort. So it's hard to do it justice with photos, and you really need to be there, but I just have some to give you an idea. So when you come to the fort, the image on the top left here, that's our entrance into Elizabeth Fort. And you're always greeted by a member of staff. There's always one of us there, and we'll kind of welcome you, tell you about the site and tell you what you can do there. Top right then, we have some buildings. So these are the buildings within the fort walls. And then on the bottom, then we just have some images of the fort walls and some views as well. So again, just some more photos. On the top right here, this area is what we call the parade. It's a lovely big space. At the bottom left here, then we have a view from one of our bastions, one of the corners from the fort. And bottom right, then this is actually an air raid shelter. So we have an air raid shelter from World War II inside the fort, which is always people find quite surprising, but it's a really interesting part for history as well. So I could talk about the history of the fort for hours and hours. Believe me, I would as well, definitely, but I don't have that luxury today. So this is just a few historical touch points we have. every major event that's happened in Cork City, especially, you know, Elizabeth Fort would have played a role. So it's a really important part of our history in Cork. So it was built first out of timber, earth and stone in 1601. And then the fort that we kind of see today was built by 1626. So we're really lucky that we have so many, you know, touch points in our history, and we use these to make human stories. And we feel visitors really appreciate these human stories. There's more of a connection with our Cork history. And next I have these two illustrations of the fort. I really like these side by side. So the illustration on the top shows Elizabeth Fort while it was being built, kind of 1624, 1626. And then the bottom illustration depicts a more modern view of the fort. So I just like seeing these side by side. We have these illustrations in our exhibition as well. And that kind of gives a nice idea of the development of the surrounding area too, which I always find really interesting. We have so much history in Barrack Street. It's kind of where Cork started, really. You know, we had the first monastery up here. The Vikings had a settlement up here. So we have so much history up here. And any excuse for me to talk about Vikings, and I'm there. So these are the three main activities that we can offer at the fort. So you can walk the walls, visit our exhibition, and we have guide maps, audio guides, and guided tours. So I'll just talk about each one of these in just a little bit more detail. So I know I've mentioned the views. I'll try not to harp on about them too much, but you know, we never get sick of them. And you can spot so many things. So we have our neighbours here, same from Barrack Cathedral. And sometimes you can spot the jail from here. And also it's quite fun to see how many steeples we can spot as well. And a lot of people do come to the site to do some photography as well. And here's some more images as well. So we have a few fun things around the sites as well. You'll spot some figures around the place to show you how soldiers would have looked back then. We have some info plaques around the place as well. And we also have some stocks in case anyone needs to be thrown in. It's usually the poor dads who get thrown into the stocks, unfortunately. And here's just some more images as well to give you an idea of the site. So we have an exhibition as well, as I mentioned. So our exhibition is called Walls, Women, Water. So walls refers to the history of the fort walls. Women will refer to the history of women convicts who were kept in the fort from 1817 to 1837. And water refers to a particular story of a ship called the Neva, which was transporting prisoners to Australia. So it's a really lovely exhibition. My favorite part would be we have images of old maps of Cork throughout history, and they really show you how Cork has developed over the years. We also have some colourful characters as well. So Elizabeth I, whom the fort is named after. We talk about George Carew, who's President of Munster around that time. Hugh O'Neill, Cromwell as well. We've got to bring him up as well. So it's a really nice exhibition to kind of help bring the history of the place to life. So we also have audio guides, guided tours, and guide maps as well. The guide maps are really handy to help give you an idea of the scale of the site, because I guess we are in an urban environment, it helps give you a feel for it. Audio guides, it's really handy to have an audio guide. They're really easy to use, and you can go at your own pace. You can pause and start and go back completely your own pace. And we get them in different languages as well. And guided tours, I think I can speak for all of us at Fort. That's our favorite part of working at the fort, is giving guided tours. We just love chatting to the visitors and hearing their reactions to the history and hearing people's memories of the fort as well. A lot of locals would have memories of the fort from when they were younger. So it's really nice to hear about those. So we've had events in the past. Just to make a note, all these photos were taken before COVID. But yeah, we've had loads of stuff happening here in the past. There's been reenactments, we've had music, we've had circus performers, I think a few years ago. Most recently, we had Culture Night, and that was a huge success for us because that showed us that we could host an event while following government guidelines really safely as well, because we had the luxury of being an outside site mostly. So that was a really great event for us. And just a few more photos to quickly show you. So here we have a photo of the parade. So as you can see, it's a fantastic place to have some events, some markets and everything. And it's controlled access into the site, which is very handy for us. And again, outdoors, so social distancing is really easily done. Bottom right then, these are the buildings within the fort walls, and these were built in 1929. So we actually have, as Seamus said, they would have mentioned, this is where the Pure Cork offices are. And yeah, big wave, Seamus, you're probably there right now. No. And it's really lovely to work on the same site as the Pure Cork team. They're lovely. Not that I'm trying to be your favorite or anything. So in the middle here, then we have the white section here. That's the entrance into our exhibition. And on the right here, then they're actually buildings that are managed by the Irish Landmark Trust. So these are self-catering holiday buildings, and you can book and stay here. And the inside has been restored to kind of 1920s, 30s style. And it's really quite interesting, actually. I mean, you can't really say, you know, there's not many other places you can say you're staying in a historic fort. And we always get really good feedback as well, which is great. So if you do want to check more about these houses, you can look them up in Irish Landmark Trust, or they're on Airbnb as well. So I won't harp on about COVID-19 too much, but I know it's something we've all had to deal with. So just a bit about how we've adapted to it. So Cork City Council were very quick in responding to the restrictions. So one of the first things they did was create a new path here, if you can see in the top left. So this section of the fort was originally closed to visitors, but they made a path here to open up, and this facilitated a one-way system around the fort walls. And this made it much easier for people to social distance, and also for staff. We could keep an eye on who's going up in the walls and who's coming down. So it just made it much easier to social distance. By opening this area here, we also got to do up this green area here. This is a really lovely green area that wasn't open before, and we can't wait to use it in the future. What's really great about it is it doesn't interfere with the tour route. So you can have an activity on here and it won't interfere with people going around having a tour as well. So can't wait to use this green area in the future. And that's kind of about it for me. So do feel free to contact us. We love having a chat. Any questions you have, if you just want to have a chat with us, please feel free to have a contact with us. And just a big thank you to Pure Cork team again for having me today. I really enjoyed it, and thanks very much.
Excellent. Thank you, Jess. Great presentation, really good. And like Jess pointed out, and I pointed out at the start, this is our home where our offices are based here in Elizabeth Fort. And for anyone that's ever thinking of coming to Elizabeth Fort or booking it, like social distancing will never be an issue. It's open air, it's ideal setup, and the courtyard is huge. And they've Marie and the team in City Council introduced some dining benches outside the door. We were hoping they were for us strictly, but anyway, they're for the general public to use, so you could have a picnic here while you're visiting the fort. I don't know whether anybody has any questions. If you have, you might just go down to the reactions at the very end of the screen and raise your hand, and we will be able to come to you. And I just saw our neighbour Nigel Dunn from St Finbarr's Cathedral has told us on the chat box that a cannonball fired from the fort back in 1690 is over in their cathedral. And Nigel, if you don't mind, you might just throw it over the wall, and we'll try and catch it here this morning. So anyway, thank you very much. Has anyone any questions that they want to ask Mervyn or they want to ask Jessica? Nothing? Everybody very silent in it? Okay, so again, I suppose from our own point of view, we'd like to give a personal thanks to Mervyn, Rebecca and Jess for their courteousness and working so well with us in the fort. Sometimes I think we're not the easiest of tenants because we're in and out so much, but they're always so kind, always opening the gate for people, always allowing people in to see us and never making an issue. So thank you very much for that. And again, to Cork City Council, tell Marie, Ursula and the team at Cork City Council for the great work they've done in restoring the place and keeping it tip-top shape. So I'm just going to hand you over to my colleague for the next session. Jeremy. Evelyn, sorry, is it?
Evelyn, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Evelyn. Apologies. I'd say you're on mute there, Evelyn. Can we hear you, Evelyn?
I think Evelyn might have just dropped off. I can come in anyway. So next up this morning, we are going to West Cork, and actually kind of all over Cork, because we're going to look at the West Cork Garden Trail, which has expanded to include some gardens just outside of West Cork, in East Cork and into Kerry as well, because it's been such a successful initiative, and it has really developed a great tourism product for the region, where you're able to go and visit 27 amazing and fabulous visitor gardens. And I'm going to pass over to Michael O'Neill and Marie Wiseman to go through those 27 gardens with us this morning.
Perfect. Thank you very much there, Jeremy. And thank you again for the opportunity to present the West Cork Garden Trail today. So I'm Marie Wiseman, I'm working with the West Cork Garden Trail, and hopefully the slides will come up in a second.
I think it just says the end of the slideshow, Marie. Maybe you might just go back to the start.
I will.
I'd say if you stop sharing the screen, maybe. Oh yeah, better. Yeah.
That's going there now.
Can you see
Perfect.
it?
Yeah. It's gone to the end again, so maybe use the arrows at the bottom here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I say just
Sorry
try
about
again there. It's okay, try again there. So
yeah.
we've all the time in the world.
If you
In the meantime, actually, I think we have a question maybe just for Jessica from Deirdre Cole in Falch, Ireland. Deirdre, have we you on the line?
Oh yeah, I was just actually responding to there, Seamus.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the question about the guided tours? So yeah, definitely we can't wait to get back to doing guided tours again. We just have to wait till the government guidelines allow us to. But definitely once the guidelines allow us to, we will definitely be getting back to that again. And if anyone is interested, just send us an email and we can let you know as soon as we know when we're getting them started
And
again.
you might answer the questions on the chat box as well, Jess. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Seamus. Thank
That's
you.
okay. Yeah, perfect. That's great. Okay. Sorry, Marie, you're okay now. I think we
Oh,
can.
you're grand, we're there. Sorry about that.
That's
Okay. So the West Cork Garden Trail. So West Cork, very much the garden paradise of Ireland. We're lucky enough down here to have the Gulf Stream, which really sort of warms up the climate a little bit and allows us to grow things here that you wouldn't normally get at these latitudes. And Garnish Island, which is pictured there, is one of our gardens, and that's one of the best examples of that. So the West Cork Garden Trail was set up in 1994. 3 local gardeners kind of got together and figured they'd sort of benefit from working together. And today, 27 years on, it's now the longest continuously running trail of its kind in Ireland. And it has 27 gardens in total, including Kilravick Gardens here, which overlooks Dunmanus Bay, and that was one of the founding members. So the garden trail covers 5 different regions. So you've got the sort of the Beara Peninsula here. Then you've got the Sheep's Head and Bantry. Then you've got Roaring Water Bay, Clonakilty, and lastly Cork and Kinsale. So I'm going to give you a whistle-stop tour through all of this. So starting with the Beara Peninsula, we've got 6 lovely gardens here. As Jeremy said, starting actually in Kerry. And then moving all the ways into Glengarriff. And the one that's featured here is Doris Gallery and Garden, which is an artist's garden very close to Kenmare and has been in existence for 25 years, very beautiful. Moving on to the Sheep's Head Peninsula, and here we're running from sort of Cailkill all the way through to Durris and Akista. And featured here we've got Breeny Moor, which is a beautiful 3.5 acre garden just outside Cailkill, which was once a 19th century dairy farm. In Roaring Water Bay, we've got another 6 gardens, and the one I'm featuring here is Glebe Gardens, and that's really they're really pushing kind of sustainability. So planting lots of trees and shrubs that really speak to the bees and butterflies and other wildlife. In Clonakilty, we've got another 5 gardens in that area, and the one that's sort of pictured here is the beautiful Ocean Gardens at Dunmore House. There's 2 gardens there. There's a cliff garden, which looks right out onto the Atlantic Ocean, and then the Organic Kitchen Garden, which feeds Dunmore House Hotel. And last but not least, Cork and Kinsale. So we've got 2 big hitters there, Blarney and Fota. And featured here, we've got Temple Bredy Gardens, which is a really beautiful setting set beneath Temple Bredy Church and surrounding the old rectory, which itself dates from 1814. So the thing that we're most proud of with the garden trail is the versatility. There literally is something for everybody. This garden featured here is Long Hill Gardens, one of our latest additions in Dunmanway. Small garden, and its sort of water features are a real speciality there. Within the garden trail, you've got some really well-known gardens. This is Bantry House, needs no introduction. It's been a tourist attraction in the town for over 70 years. And then you've got some what we call hidden gems. So this is Pine Tree Lodge Garden in Clonakilty, and it's a real gardener's garden, and another one of our smaller ones at just over an acre. We've got formally designed gardens. So this is Fernhill House, which was actually inspired by the very renowned Mary Reynolds of Dare to be Wild fame. And then you've got really natural, beautiful gardens like sort of Inishbeg Gardens here, which is one of our largest at over 97 acres. And you can see that sort of beautiful wilderness there. We've got gardens very much for the gardening enthusiast. This is the Fernery, which is based in Skibbereen, and is really for those who love the rare and unusual. And then you've got the gardens which are very much focused on sort of family. So this is Glenview Gardens and Hobbit House, very famous for the Hobbit House, but also actually has a 3.5 acre beautiful garden beside it as well for the gardening enthusiast. We've got formal gardens. Blarney Castle needs no introduction, but actually the ground surrounding it, there's 60 acres of absolutely stunning garden beside it. And then we've got the less formal. So Carrigowan is a real hidden gem in the village of Durris, with the most spectacular sort of river setting there. We've got the more traditional gardens like Doreen Garden, again, based up near Kinmare, which is pretty well known, and a real heavy haven for wildlife. And then you've got the more quirky gardens. We're lucky enough to have a number of artists actually owning gardens within the trail. And this is Heron Gallery owned by Annabelle Langrish in Alkista. And then you've got gardens with a real sort of hidden history. This is Ballycaman House and Garden, again near Durris, which not only has a beautiful 4-acre garden attached to it, it actually has 2 standing stones behind it, which date from 2000 BC. We've got some famous past residents as well. So Drashan House and Gardens was actually home to Edith Somerville of Somerville and Ross fame. She lived there most of her life and tended the gardens. We've got beautiful gardens full of colour like Kinalea, which is a beautiful mature garden in the Bandon River Valley. And then you've gardens that are good enough to eat. So this is the Garden of Reimagination near Glengariff, which everything there is edible. And we've got gardens that are good for you. The medicinal herb garden in Ballady Hob is exactly what it says. And the plants here are harvested and utilised by owner Jacqueline in her clinical practice. A lot of our gardens are open all year round, including Bamboo Park in Glengariff, which overlooks beautiful Bantry Bay. But to be fair, the majority concentrate on the summer months. And this is an example of one of those that you experience also in Glengariff. And another artist garden, which is just full of quirky things. And then others have very, very limited opening. So if you want to get to Comalan Gardens, which is on Cape Clear Island, then actually it's only open for 2 days a year that do special open days. So we do have a website and social media channels, and they're sort of updated with exactly what's going on all the time. Fota is the last garden that I'm going to put here, but Catherine Murphy will tell you a lot more about that shortly. Now I'm just going to pass over to Michael, who's going to take you through the rest of this.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Marie, and hello everyone, and thank you very much for the opportunity, Pure Cork. So I hope you enjoyed Marie's fantastic tour through all the gardens of West Cork. It's great for a bit of escapism, especially now with the 5K limit and everything. So this is Fernhill House. This is where I am from, just for a bit of background in Clonakilty. It's my family's home. Just move next slide there, please, Marie. So just quickly, I'll just wrap it up by saying, like, I'm in the trade, and I'd say a lot of people in the call are as well here. So just why is the garden trade such a great asset for you? And so this is Blarney Castle here, a beautiful photo. So if you move next slide there, please. So number one, there's never been a better time to push gardens due to COVID. So look, unfortunately, we're all going through this pandemic together. But so everyone's looking for wide open spaces, and the gardens, by that definition, are wide open spaces. That people want to connect to nature now more than ever after being locked down, many within 5 kilometers, or being inside, encouraged stay inside all day. They want to get out and experience nature. And then the people who are lucky enough to have gardens, people have never done so much gardening themselves, and they want to learn more. They really got the bug for it. So gardening is just exploding, and it's a great trend to kind of hit your marketing to. So it's an excellent tool for you to use in your promotion, and especially for hotels that might be in the city or something like that. They're fantastic properties they give amazing service. And then if people want to get into wide open spaces, you can encourage them to follow the West Cork Garden Trail, which is a great win-win. So next slide there, please, Marie. So you can attract more visitors, like this lovely heron who's visiting the heron gallery. So the gardening is a massive special interest with a huge following. It has for always been. There's clubs, societies, magazines, and many of our key international markets are very keen on gardening. So it's a great one to bring into your marketing mix. So bring it to the next one. So and attracting the right kind of visitors. So while most target markets like garden, like families, love trips to gardens, I think Fall Garden research is one of the top 3 most common activities undertaken by visitors to Ireland, visiting gardens. The active retirement group are especially keen, and this group are available midweek and in the shoulder season, which are the very times that we need to push to fill in our businesses, in our friends' businesses, and everything. So the gardens are it's a no-brainer. So we go on to the next slide there, please. And it's an excellent product. So as Marie has shown, the gardens are amazing, and there's a fantastic variety. There's something for everyone, and there's 27 different garden experiences for your guests. It's just brilliant to have it right here in Cork. In fact, I think it's the most visited as a tourist attraction. If you add up all the visitor numbers, I'd say it's most visited tourist attraction in Cork. There is a fantastic website and brochure to use in promotion, and like the brochure has an individual page to every garden. It's a beautiful publication. It's a really kind of luxury product to have to show to your guests. And Cork is the best place in Europe for garden visits due to our fantastic trail that we have and our position on the Gulf Stream, giving us an unrivaled variety of plants. And we're lucky to have a temperate climate and everything. So it's really interesting for people who are really into plants and everything. So next slide, please. And extending stays and encouraging repeat visits and increasing revenue. So with 27 gardens, guests will never have enough time in one trip to see even a quarter of the gardens. Not to mention that there's a variety of plants warranting visits to each garden in different seasons. And then new gardens are added each year to the trail, and the existing ones are always growing and developing. The gardens are always very interested. So it's just it's a fantastic product, and so if you encourage your guests to get involved in the trail and go out and see it, they'll want to come back again. And for example, this is Ballycommand down in Ballycommand, which is a beautiful garden. So let's move to the next slide. So yeah, so that's it. So that's my email address, just in case you wanted to say hello or anything. And look, the trail is just an amazing thing to send your guests to. There's loads of little hidden gems like this here. Now this photo is the medicinal herb garden, so just look at that. That's just amazing. And then it's filled with medicinal herbs, so you can learn about very interesting plants that are good for you. Like that's just an amazing experience. And we're just going to the last slide there. So that's just our contact details again. We'd love to if you get in touch, and if you want to learn how to send more your guests to the trail. And we'd love to have them on the trail, and it'll encourage them to come back, and it's just a win-win for everyone. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the presentation.
So thank you very much, Michael. Thanks very much, Marie. Fantastic presentation. Loads of stuff in the chat box, loads of questions. And I just want to throw my own penny's worth in there as well. I suppose when I mentioned Elizabeth Fort, where we're home, I'm very biased about this attraction because I think it's such a phenomenal attraction and so less well known in the city. But equally, Fernhill House in Clonakilty, unfortunately, it's within 25 kilometres of where I live, but it's a hotel I never get tired of. It's a beautiful, beautiful property, and it's family run, like Michael said. So Michael, his 2 brothers, his mum and dad run the hotel. It is absolutely spotlessly clean. It's impeccable standards, and the food is amazing. So it's one of those hotels that definitely, once the restrictions lift, I would definitely advise people to go to see. And of course the gardens are all just spectacular. So do we have any questions for Marie or Michael? And I know this morning we've been joined by Pat Delaney from Sulnu. I was just having a quick look. Arta from Custom Ireland is with us. We have the Honorary Swiss Consul on the line as well from Cove. Anna from A Touch of Ireland, and Sue Uda is joining us. So if any of the operators, maybe Anna, would you like to ask a question? Or Sue? Arthur, Pat, any of you?
I'll just say something quickly, Seamus. Michael hit the nail on the head there. You know, the gardens have never been more important to have available to us now. Right now, I think the time of the last year has obviously given people a bit more of how would you say, perspective on, you know, what's important with tours. For us, you know, we've got a lot more people. We're getting inquiries coming in now for the end of the year, and you know, it's real focus on wellness and you know, and mindfulness as well. So I think the gardens will definitely play a big part in that for our itineraries as well. So it's great to see those. I'm looking forward to exploring them a little bit more here online and trying to see if we can fit them in with our itineraries a bit more.
Thank you very much, Pat. I see
Yeah,
you.
just to echo, for me, it's fantastic to obviously see the gardens, but to see the range of experiences that are out there, which, you know, I'm never seem to be amazed by my own ignorance. So I'm just fantastic to see the opportunity, and I can see lots of ways in which those experiences can be used. So I'm just blown away by the variety and by how little I know. So really appreciate participating in this morning's session.
And thank you, Pat. And I know we're very fortunate in Cork to have such an array of products. So thank you for that. Thanks, Arthur. Anybody else, any questions?
Miss Evelyn here.
Yeah,
I know Helen Murphy had just said to me that she'd like to just make a comment on the gardens as well, Helen, if that's correct still.
Yeah, thanks, Evelyn, and good morning to everybody here on the call this morning. So I suppose I've been to a few of those gardens already on the West Cork Garden Trail, and honestly, they're world class. I suppose Garnish Island in itself is so unique and it's so memorable. I went there as a small child for the first time, and then in latter years, a couple of years ago, I went there again, happened to be down in the West Cork area, and honestly, I'm still talking about it to this day. But all the other lovely gardens that were featured this morning, there's so many more to discover, and I really look forward to getting out and seeing them during the summer months. And there's such a huge amount of work put into all the gardens by the owners and the people working them. There's great credit due to them, and it's a fantastic facility here to have in our county. So hopefully everybody will get out exploring them, and well done to a great presentation.
Thanks, Helen.
Thanks, Helen. Thanks.
And I think there's a question here from Seamus Fox. If you'd like to ask it yourself, Seamus, you might come off mute. Are you there, Seamus? Okay, maybe we just asked a question for him. And again, it's could family history guided tours be included as an offshoot of garden trails? I don't know, what do you want to answer that, Marie or Michael?
Yeah, like we're always interested in kind of developing new products with people, and like there's fantastic history to the house. Like I'm in the middle of writing the history of Fernhill, and just I love meeting the families, and like all the properties, the gardens, people love all the owners love the gardens and the properties themselves, and the history is kind of tied into the land and everything. So they all love discussing all the history and the different characters that, and like if someone's related to someone from the house, it's brilliant. So we'd be delighted to speak to anyone like that.
Well done, thanks, Michael. That's great. Anyone else, any questions?
Yeah, Seamus, what I was thinking of there was, like, you know, fair enough, when they visit the gardens and they get the history of the ownership of the houses and whatever, but maybe also of the local territory, the local parish, the local whatever, you know, kind of characters that lived in those areas and parishes that could be, and then further onto that, then maybe the history if necessary.
Well, there's in Skibbereen in the Heritage Centre, they have a bit of they do a bit of genealogy work there, and then there's local experts that we can point out to as well, like Michael O'Mahony and things like that in Clonakilty. That's just Clonakilty, and there's some all over as well.
Yeah, and the thing I'd just sort of add to that as well is, you know, all the gardens are so different and all the owners are so different, you know, and some of the smaller gardens, like my dad has Carrigowan and Durris, and, you know, if somebody comes in and visits, he'll happily spend an hour, 2 hours, however long. He's so passionate about it, and, you know, he's very similar to an awful lot of the other smaller gardens as well, that, you know, they will happily spend as much time as somebody wants, just because it's their passion.
Excellent, thank you. Anyone else? I think we might have a quick question from David Lewis in Carrigaline Court. David?
Thanks, Seamus. Yeah, no, it was just a quick question on garnish, and it's something I've been meaning to get down to. The last time I was down there was about 7 or 8, I'd say. And it's just, just to understand, and I suppose if we get any questions from our visitors coming to the hotel in Carrigaline, it is a fair distance to go down to Glengariff, and is there any issue potentially, especially with COVID, on restrictions and numbers going out in the boat, and can you pre-book space?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure about pre-booking, but there are a few restrictions all right at the moment. So obviously with the sort of the boat trips out there and stuff. So it is definitely worth getting in touch with them beforehand. Now, obviously, if restrictions lift, then that sort of will ease. But certainly last year, all right, it was a little bit more tricky for them.
Yeah. And again, we will update everybody in this call. Once the restrictions change, we'll make sure that everybody's updated on a regular basis like we have been doing. So thanks again, Marie, for that. Thanks, David. Thanks, Michael. And I'm just going to hand you over to our last session this morning, and I'm going to get Evelyn is just back from her quick tea break, and we'll get Evelyn to introduce it. So.
Sorry about that. My Zoom got stage fright or something right at the perfect moment. So you can't be trusting this technology. So looking forward to getting back to real meetings as soon as possible. Our last speaker today. She's a great friend of Visit Cork in general, Catherine Murphy, and she's representing both Fota House and the gardens. We use, through the Convention Bureau, we've used Fota House, which is in East Cork, and there's a phenomenal amount of attractions that are based in East Cork. And we've used it for corporate events, and we've promoted it to clients for boardroom meetings, for banquet dinners, for smaller groups, larger events incorporating marquees. So it's a fantastic place to visit, first option as well in Cork. So we love Fota House, and we can't wait to hear what Catherine has to say here now this morning. So over to you, Catherine.
Good morning, Evelyn, and thank you very much. Thank you to Seamus, Evelyn, of course, and all the team. Thanks also to Mervyn, Jessica, Marie, and Michael for those very informative presentations. I look forward to visiting some of those attractions, because I can honestly say I haven't, and it's good to find out what's out there. So I'll just start my presentation here. Or with me.
We'll keep an eye on it for you, Catherine, here. So we're perfect. Yeah, it's all up.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So this is obviously the house, the gardens behind it. We are located obviously on an island, which I'm sure a lot of you are very familiar with Fota, but as you can see.
Can I just 1 second? Maybe you might just go into the bottom of the screen there, just put on the slideshow. It'll look bigger than.
Yeah, sorry, apologies.
Take your time.
Okay, so most of you are probably familiar with Fota. It's an island. We are obviously, as you can see, the R624 is nearest the screen to us here, and then the train line from Cork to Cove is on the other side of the island. So we're very lucky that we have the connections both to Cork and Cove, so we can, be a day trip from if anyone's staying in the city, or likewise if anyone is staying in Cove. The island is approximately 780 acres in total. You'll see here, and the gardens cover over 115 acres of that land. So our partners on the island we're lucky to have Fota Island Resort, Fota Wildlife Park, and the OPW. The OPW care for the Arboretum and gardens. So we're very lucky at the moment that the gardens are open and they're accessible to people within their 5 kilometres. For those of you who don't know about Fota House, it was originally owned by the Smith-Barry family until the death of Dorothy Bell, who was the last direct descendant of the family in 1975. It was subsequently sold to UCC. It was originally built as a hunting lodge and extended to a 72-room Regency mansion between 1820 and 1827. And the house is now owned and managed by the Irish Heritage Trust. And we also manage Johnstown Castle in Wexford and Strokestown House in Roscommon. So the Arboretum and Gardens, as I said, are cared for by our site partners, the OPW. So what we do here in the house, and I guess some of you are familiar maybe with the gardens, but not with the house itself. We do guided tours, which tells the history of the house itself and the lives of the Smith-Barry family and their servants throughout the generations. And it's very much, it's personal guided tour. It's interactive. It's kind of giving the interpretation of their lives. So we do events, we do outdoor theatre, outdoor cinema, concerts, recitals, yoga and archery. And basically it's focused on family and what they can do, you know, coming on the site outdoors. We, as Evelyn mentioned, we do meetings, private dinners, drinks receptions, product launches, team building, and marquee events. We're very lucky that we have beautiful rooms inside the house, but we also have areas outside in the gardens that we can use and utilize for outdoor events. We very much, as I said, focus on family. So we do seasonal garden trails, we do Easter events, we do Halloween, and we do Christmas events also. We are also a wedding venue. We do civil ceremonies and we do receptions, obviously both, again, indoors and outdoors. For those of you who haven't been, we have Victorian working gardens. So these are the restored glass houses, and these would have been where a lot of the fruit and vegetables were grown for the house when it was owned by the family. Now we actually grow plants, and we have a huge volunteer group who care for help plant these plants, and we also sell them. So, and people can visit throughout the summer. We normally open during the week and at the weekends. So it can be also used as an event space. You can't see in this image, but it actually has a huge green area. So we can do barbecues, we can do various, we can do civil ceremonies, we can do a lot of different things up there. So it's a very nice space. It also has its own gate, so it can be private as well for an event. These are just some of the images of the rooms set up for events. So you see the top two are the dining room, drawing room, and they're the two different formats. So and these are from recent events that have taken place in the house. Other stuff you probably don't know, just to let you know, we have invested over 400,000 in upgrades and renovations to the house over the last 18 months. We work with Apple Computers. So basically we have a farm to fork fruit and vegetable growing project in our orchard. And that basically means that all of the fruit and vegetables that people eat in the canteens in Apple, in Holly Hill, are actually grown in Fota. We also are in partnership with the Irish Bee Conservation Project, and basically the project is there to restock the native Irish black bee in Ireland. So again, it's all about the biodiversity and on the site, as well as what we do in the house. So basically, we would like anyone who wants any further information or wants to reach out and come and visit when restrictions allow. Obviously, my contact information is here, and if there's anything we can help, we'd obviously love to talk to anyone, even to our operators, all our attraction partners as well. So feel free to reach out. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Catherine. Great presentation again. And for just for the benefit of everybody in the call, poor Catherine was a nervous wreck doing this the last week. It's not something very easy to do. So again, a huge compliment to those that do it. And well done, Catherine. You played a blinder. So well done. Again, if there's any question, you might just stop sharing the screen, Catherine, there when you're ready. Again, any questions for Catherine? Just before we do, I just want to again reiterate the importance of the safety charter. I know they were mentioned by Mervyn and by Jessica at the start of the call. But again, they're absolutely paramount importance. I keep saying it. The Fáilte Ireland Safety Charter is absolutely important to try and make an effort to get it, because safety is still the number one concern of people that want to travel. I just want to go over, if Dario Cassio is on the call. Dario is joining us for the last few weeks. Dario does some fantastic, I would like to say homemade, but they're very professional videos, and he shares them on Facebook. Dario, are you on? Have we got you, Dario? No. If he is there, we might just come back to him again later on. Dario produces some fantastic videos, and he shares them with us as well in Pure Cork, and shares them across his Facebook page. So I just wanted to see if he was on the call. So do any of the operators want to ask any questions again? Sorry for jumping to you.
I have one there, Seamus. Catherine, great presentation, well done. A question for you just on the catering side of it. It looks like a fantastic place for a private dining experience. Just what are your facilities on site then behind the scenes? So do you have kitchen staff or catering staff on
We
site?
have a preferred caterer who we work with, James Grimes from Prestige Catering. So he would supply all the staff, everything. So essentially, we rent it out as a blank space, and then we bring in, or you can bring in your own if that's your preference. So
Brilliant, great.
It's fantastic, Arthur, for a private dinner. For a large event outside as well, they can put a marquee on the grounds. And for private dinners, private receptions, Evelyn and I have used it over the years, and it's superb, absolutely superb.
And actually, one of the things that works very well in the past is living. It's taking it over as a manor house and having a small group in the dining room, and we did that before with the group, and it just worked really well. So it's a phenomenal place, and the gardens around it and the surroundings are fantastic. So we're looking forward to bringing more clients there when we can.
And here's an easy one. So you can get a train from Dublin to Cork City, get your clients off in Cork, do the Cork City tours, back in the train, brings you right into the grounds at Fota. So it's a very short walk to the house from there. You can also have Fota Wildlife Park as you get off of the train. When you're going back, you could have a cup of tea in Catherine's house. She's just at the railway gate. And then you can get the train onto Cove, if you want it from there. So it's a great facility, and I think the train service in that area is magnificent altogether. So without Holgate, have we any more questions from anybody for Catherine? And I'd say Brian Murphy's on the call as well, the manager of the house.
If I may, Seamus, Joanna
Go ahead,
Murphy.
Joanne. Go ahead. Joanna, good to see you.
Good. I would just like to commend Catherine. I've actually been over to Fota House recently, and it's just so lovely to see an iconic building like Fota House to be to be continuously maintained, and new ideas coming out as well, because I suppose a lot of people in Cove would use the gardens as an extension, as their own garden really, but even to use it for events down the road. Catherine she's just got some great ideas, and it's such a beautiful venue to have the garden and the actual house. So well done to you, Catherine, and a lovely presentation.
Thanks, Joanna.
Thanks, Johanna. Thank you. Anybody else? Any questions? Nothing? No hard questions from anybody? No? Okay. So we've loads of stuff there in the chat box as well, so we'll try and reply to as much as we can of that. Again, in the interest of time, we have a minute to go. We're trying to keep these on schedule. Next week, we have a very food-based event next week. So we have Suzanne Byrne from the Kinsale Food Tour. We have Dorothy O'Tuma from the fantastic Buffalo Mozzarella Tour down in near Macroom. And we have Marie Nivaraku from Activity Days, who does the Old Butter Roads and Cork City tours as well. So those three are next week, and again, we'd love you to join us. Is there any questions from anybody before we go? Jim Kennedy, I see you're putting up something. I no longer buy the Examiner on Wednesdays. It's reserved for this. Thank you, Jim. Jim no longer buys the Examiner on a Wednesday. He now reserves it for sharing this great network. So thanks, Jim and Marie, as always. And thank you to everybody that comes on to these. We've 91 at one stage on the call this morning, on a day when the ITUA have their conference on as well. A lot of our trade are attending that. So again, thank you all for your presence this morning. Somebody wants to say something, Michael O'Neill. Sorry, Michael.
Yeah, sorry about that there. Just a lot of people from Cork County Council on the call there, and I just wanted to say on behalf of the Garden Trail a massive thank you to Cork County Council for all the fantastic support they've given us through the years. The work they do is fantastic, and we really appreciate it. Thanks.
And I think, Michael, we'd all say that both the City Council and the County Council sometimes play an unheard role in tourism. They do some fantastic work behind the scenes. And the same with Fáilte Ireland. You see where Evelyn and Anne and Jeremy have behind them. Well, we're I always say we're on the hinge of both the Wild Atlantic Way and Ireland's Ancient East. We're very lucky in the Wild Atlantic Way team. We have Josephine, Marie and Don. And then on the Ireland's Ancient East team, we have Mary, Brian and Deirdre Cole. And Deirdre's on the calls as well this morning. So to all four of those organisations, so important when this is all over. I suppose they've been so helpful through the pandemic to all of us. So thank you very much on that. I'll take one more question if anybody wants to ask it before we do sign off. Nobody? Okay. So again, I just want to thank our people this morning, our speakers this morning. As I said, it's not an easy thing to do. So thanks to Mervyn, Jessica, the Garden Trails by Michael and Marie, and to Fota House, Catherine Murphy, and again to my own team, Evelyn, Jeremy and Anne, for all the work to do behind the scenes. So Thank you and good morning, everybody.
Thanks, Seamus. Thanks very much.
Thank you.